Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard Sports Media coming at you with another team preview. We skip back over to the SEC today, and we look at the Missouri Tigers. Want to give a quick shout out to Matthew of Edom Dogs on YouTube for texting back and forth with me, giving me this idea to do Missouri as my next team preview. Want to save maybe the other SEC teams for conference week outside of South Carolina, which we will have tomorrow, I should say on Thursday, a live stream with our friend Twisted Rooster. So, with that being said, let's get into the preview. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out in large ways. Really would appreciate it. I love you guys so much. And let's talk some Missouri football. So last year, they did hit 500 in the regular season, right on the money at 6-6, but they had a bowl loss. They lost to teams such as Kansas State on the road, who won the Big 12, as we remember, and played Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. They lost to Auburn, but they were able to keep it close in overtime. The thing about Missouri, they have a stout defense that was able to keep it close with a lot of teams. They actually were the closest team to play Georgia last year on Georgia's way to back-to-back. They only lost by 4 at home, 26-22. After that, they lost to Florida 24-17. They get a bye week. They beat Vanderbilt. They upset on the road. I consider an upset. South Carolina 23-10. Kentucky, they lost 21-17. They lost to Tennessee. They gave up 66 points. That says a lot about their defense, but also you give Hendon Hooker and the offense a lot of credit over at Neyland Stadium. 66-24. But they bounced back. They beat the New Mexico State Aggies. And then what I think was a huge win against Arkansas at home, 29-27. A battle for the boot trophy, I think is what it is. Or is that LSU Arkansas? Anyway, Arkansas, Missouri, rivalry weekend. Missouri wins that one in Columbia. They make a bowl game after beating Arkansas. That helps them get bowl eligible. And they lost in the Gasparilla Bowl to Wake Forest. So that being said, that brings us into their 2023 preview. And let's go ahead and pull that up. South Dakota, right out the gate, should be a win. Middle Tennessee, Alabama has to play them week 1. Middle Tennessee gets back-to-back SEC games. It looks like Alabama, then Missouri. Your first 3 games are at home. South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, and Kansas State. Now, Kansas State beat TCU to win the Big 12 last season. Of course, they were a victim of the Alabama Crimson Tide in the Sugar Bowl. They bring back a lot of pieces. They lost a couple to the draft, but they bring back a lot of pieces for the most part. They should be a pretty good team. Don't take them lightly. Memphis and St. Louis, Missouri. I guess Memphis and Missouri are somewhat of a rivalry. I'm going to be honest here and say that I don't know much of the history. I'm not even going to try to pretend. But it looks like it has to have some significance if it's in St. Louis instead of Columbia or in Memphis, Tennessee. At Vanderbilt, LSU, who a lot of people expect to possibly win the West again. A lot of people are high on those Tigers. At Kentucky, South Carolina. Shout out to Twisted Rooster. We'll get a preview out with him for South Carolina for you guys very soon. Also, by the way, if you do want to preview a Power 5 team with me, just hit me up, ballardsports19@gmail.com. Let me know what team you want to preview, and we can get that right away. They get a bye week at Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and then at Arkansas. And you could pretty much cross off December 2nd. They're not going to the SEC title, but crazier things have happened. This is a very tough schedule. Any trap games on there, these are games that they should win but could lose. I only found one. I think at Vanderbilt could be your only trap game that you could lose, even though you probably should win that. I don't think that they necessarily should beat Georgia, beat Tennessee, beat Florida, beat Arkansas. These are teams that are going to be better than Missouri this season, and uh, they they just don't have a chance in these games. Now, the possible upsets at Kentucky, if you play it close, you could beat Kentucky. You lost to them at home, 21-17 last season. At Arkansas, and then Florida. I put Arkansas in there because it's a rivalry, and right now I view Arkansas as a 7 or 8 win team. Florida is at home for Missouri, and Florida. What's to make of them? And Billy Napier, he's possibly going to lose his job soon if he doesn't get it together. Florida could be an interesting team. I know we've already looked at them, but Missouri, got to be careful with that Florida game, but I think it's doable late in the season, and you get them at home too. If it were in the swamp, I'd probably say otherwise. That being said, 2023 Missouri, again, they had Brady Cook at quarterback with 2,739 yards last season. He does come back as a junior, his hometown in St. Louis, Missouri. Brady Cook is the quarterback. Brett Brown, Sam Horn, Tommy Locke behind him, especially Sam Horn, to compete for that starting job. Cody Schrader, the running back, was their lead guy, and he comes back. He's 5'9", 214 as a grad student from St. Louis. And he has 745 rushing yards off 170 carries. He averaged 4.4 yards a carry. His longest play of 63, led the team in rushing touchdowns at 9. So I would say they got the quarterback situation, they got the running back situation, they got some receivers and Mekhi Miller, Mookie Cooper, Luther Burden. Keep an eye on Luther Burden. He was a key freshman for him last year that I think could have potential. A big time recruit, 5'11", 208 pounds from St. Louis. So Luther Burden wears number 3. Watch him for Missouri on the field this fall. Logan Muckey, Micah Manning, Dennis Jackson, Theo Wees Jr. These are guys that Elijah Drinkwitz has brought in, that has had on the roster for quite a while. Thing about Missouri, they have some good players, a little bit of talent. They got to step up their recruiting. We talked about it on Touchdown Tuesdays this week that, Eli Drinkwitz seems like a really nice guy. I'm sure could be a good coach somewhere, but he's got to be on a hot seat right now. I think Missouri wants to go bowling and win bowl games. I think they want to get back to competing for the SEC East. It wasn't too long ago. In fact, we're coming up on 10 years the last time they won the East in 2014, 2013. These were years for Missouri where they were at a peak and they were at an all-time high for the program and doing everything they can to compete in the conference. So I do think Missouri, if they found the right coach out there, and I say this about any Power 5 team, if they found the right coach, they can have a good season and compete for their conference championships. Missouri's got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I don't expect them to do much this year. In fact, I listed their losses on a banner. I probably should have just listed their wins. I'll go ahead and I'll give a prediction for Missouri. I'm going to say they go 4-8 and they miss a bowl game. This is a brutal schedule for them. This is very, very tough. This does not favor Missouri whatsoever. And I'm going to go ahead and list some losses. I think I counted these right. Kansas State, LSU. I'm going to say that Vandy game's a trap. And I'm going to say they drop that game at Arkansas. They'll obviously lose to Georgia. You could get South Carolina. You could even get Florida, Tennessee. These are teams that I just expect to be better than Missouri. I give a at most prediction. I don't know, man. I try to give an at most prediction. I think what they're going to do is go 4-8. They could go 5-7. They could, I almost said easily, not easily, but they could even hit 500 if they play their cards right. They could beat Vanderbilt. They could beat Arkansas. They could upset Tennessee or Florida. Maybe not Tennessee, but maybe Florida. They could pull some upsets here, and we could ultimately see Missouri hanging out around 500 this season. I just don't think it's going to happen, and I expect them to take some steps back. They went 6-7 last year. They do return a lot of talent. I think it's make or break for Elijah Drinkwitz, uh, who I like. I mean, I love to hear his press conferences. He sounds confident in his team. He never quits. He doesn't give up. Unfortunately, the reality for Missouri is they're not where they were years ago. They're not up here. They're kind of where, they're down here. And that's just the reality. I look at this list of teams. Georgia is better. LSU is better. Kansas State, Florida, South Carolina. These are teams that are just better than Missouri. Unless they turn it around and show us otherwise, these teams will beat them. So, that being said, I'm going 4-8 for Missouri with all of their losses. Coming to the higher ranked teams, whether these teams are ranked or not, we will see. But they're definitely ranked higher on a tier list than Missouri. They could probably beat Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt even is on the up and coming train with Clark Lee. So, anyway, again, I want to give a shout out to Mayhem Matthew of Edom Dogs on YouTube. Go subscribe to him and check him out. He's the one that suggested I do Missouri next. We're also going to do South Carolina this week with Twisted Rooster. That will be a live stream. Hey, if there's a college football team you want to preview with me on a live stream or a pre-recorded video, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what team you want to preview, and I'll let you know if we've already previewed that team or not. And we could definitely talk about it. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless. And I'll say this as an Alabama fan. Roll Tide. I love you guys. Y'all have a blessed week.